Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my November and December reading wrap up. So November to December was very busy. I had finals, like Thanksgiving break, then finals. And so I just didn't have time to upload a November reading wrap up. And then it was the end of December and I was like, I'm just gonna do both together instead of just skipping November because I actually had a really good reading month in November. So I still want to share that with you guys. So they're just gonna be combined together. So in November, I read 5 books, and then in December, I read 4 books. Definitely could have read more in December, but you know, finishing the semester, coming home, Christmas, other holiday stuff, family, friend time, like, I just didn't end up having the time to really do it. And also, after the entire semester, I just kind of wanted to relax and do nothing. So I spent a lot of time just like watching TV. Um, but that is what today's video is going to be. I hope that you guys enjoy and maybe get some new book recs from it. And yeah, let's get into the video. Okay, so the first book that I finished in November was Breathe With Me by Becca Mack. So this is the 5th and final book in the Playing for Keeps series. I absolutely loved this. I don't even know like how to describe to you the way I love like found family tropes and how I love when you have like a book series with interconnected standalones of all these different couples, but that they're a big friend group. Like that is just one of my favorite things to read. And this is one of those series that I think does it really, really well. You have all these different books that all involve hockey in some way, which I also love. But then you also have all of these characters and their own personalities and their own stories, but they also blend into each other's. And I love it. So I was excited naturally for the last book, but also was sad for the last book because, well, it's the last book. Well, Becca Mack decided not only are you going to be sad because it's the last book, you're also going to be sad because the book itself is so sad. But it's also so good. I rated this a 4.5 stars. I think it would hit me more if I had some of the experiences that this character had. I fortunately don't, or haven't yet is probably more the correct term I should use. The story talks a lot about fertility issues, and the main character really struggles to have a kid, and the kind of ups and downs that not only does that have personally and mentally for yourself as a person who wants to be a parent, because it happens for both the main female character and the main male character, but also how that affects you as a couple. So like it was beautiful to watch like their beginning, because from the first book you know that these two characters are together, but you don't know like how they got together. So like it was great to see that, which honestly was not expecting it to be so quick, but I low-key loved it and it felt very much them, so I was very happy with it. But then as the story goes on, you're seeing like the troubles that they're going through because of the fertility issues, and how like especially for Kara, the main female character, she's so hard on herself and makes it seem like it is my fault that we can't have a kid, and like you aren't doing anything wrong, it's all me. And it's like, no one's doing anything wrong. Like this is no one's fault. This is just unfortunately science, and sometimes people are able to have kids and sometimes people aren't. And so I don't know, there was just a lot of really heartbreaking stuff in this. I cried. It was yeah, it was hard. But I do think that if you are someone who has dealt with similar experiences, you need to be very careful reading this book because it could be very triggering. But I don't think that means you shouldn't read it. I think that you just have to know where you are at in your grieving process slash healing process and kind of what you can and can't handle. But I do definitely think that this is a beautiful book that has romance in it and has family aspects in it and happy, beautiful things, but also has some very sad things in it as well. And I just think it was really well done. The like foreword or the prologue, what is it called? The foreword, I think is what it's called. The little like note to the readers and stuff is like so beautiful. I'll show you guys, and then if you want to read it, you can pause it. But I just think it's so beautiful, and I know that Becca Mack personally struggled herself with fertility issues, so I know a lot of this is based in her own personal experience, and I think for me that makes it even harder to read because I love her as an author, and I think she's such a wonderful person that I just like, oh, I just want to give her a big hug, like, oh. But this book was really, really good. I absolutely adored it, and the whole series in general is amazing, and I really, really think that you guys should read it if you haven't. Again, it's one of those series where it's not just about hockey, and it's not just all smut. Yes, you have hockey, and yes, you have smut, but it's not just that. There is so much more to it. And like certain books are more fun while other books are more serious. So like you have a good variety going on in it. But this was the first book that I finished in November. The next book that I finished was People Watching. So I heard a lot of people not liking this book, but me and my friend Alicia were going to be buddy reading it. So I kind of, when I say I had no choice, like I definitely did, but like we had already agreed to do this. So it was kind of like, there's no going back now. But I actually really liked it. I rated it a 4.25 stars. I thought that it was like good. Like, I don't know. It wasn't obviously the best thing I ever read, but like it was not bad. It was a good time. Like I liked the two main characters. I liked the storyline. I'm not usually a big small town romance person, but like I think they did it pretty well. I may be slightly biased because People Watching, PW, and then the main female character's name is Prudence Welch, which is also PW, and my name's Paige Woodland, so PW. So like my initials were all over this book, and so, you know, am I slightly biased? Maybe. But I had a really good time. I think that like the book itself was good. I think I like other books by her better, but I don't think it was bad. And I am really, really hoping that the next book is either Milo, the main guy character's sister, or his brother. I really want both of their stories, so I am hopeful that we'll get that, but I don't know for sure, so we'll see. But again, this one was still good. I don't think that people, I don't know, I think I just saw a lot of negative comments on the book, and I personally really enjoyed it. So if you are someone who's kind of in that, I don't know, like I'm also seeing a lot of negative comments, but like it seems like something I would like, I would definitely give it a try because I thought I was gonna like it, but saw all those negative comments, and I did like it, so I would still give it a try. All right, so the next book that I read was Phantasma. So I have been wanting to read this book for a really long time. I've had it, honestly, I think I bought this in January after Christmas with a gift card, so I've had this for almost a year now. And I did read it in November, so I read it before I had it for a full year. I really shouldn't be saying to celebrate about that, but also, like, come on. You guys are book readers. Book readers? Really, Paige? Obviously, if you're a reader, you're a book. Okay, you know, it's fine. It's fine. I just like messing up. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're probably a reader, and so you know how it can be. Sometimes you buy books, and it just takes you a while to get to them. But I have to say, it was hard for me to start this book. Like, I was reading it, and it just felt so similar to Caraval. And it just continued to feel so similar to Caraval. Like, it was the same kind of plot line idea of, like, oh, I'm going into this game to try to, like, save my sister. And then I meet this person who ends up being my love interest. And, like, there were just a lot of things that were very similar. I think if I read this and hadn't read Caraval, I would have loved this so much more because I do like the characters and the way it was written better than Caraval. But because I had already read Caraval, it was just, my brain was like, I feel like I'm low-key reading the same book, but not. And, like, it felt, my brain was just very much conflicted. So this I only gave a 4 stars because I did enjoy it. I did like the book itself. It was just hard for me to rate it higher because of how similar it felt to Caraval. But if you haven't read Caraval, would highly recommend Phantasma. If you have read Caraval and you really liked it and you want a book that's very similar, here you go. I would basically say this is like a spicier, more, what's the word? I was gonna say demonic, but I don't mean that. Like, Caraval's more about, like, mystery and secrets. This has more, like, ghosts and demons and things like that. Like, more paranormal. That was the word. I got it. This was, like, Caraval with paranormal aspects. So if you like that, which I did, I just, again, my brain was like, is this plagiarism? Like, it was having a hard time. I would suggest reading it. But I still rated it 4 stars. I still had a good time. it just took me a minute to kind of be able to get over that first kind of, you know, hump of being like, is this the same book? Am I going crazy here? All right, next I read Save Me by Mona Caston. Again, I don't know if that is the correct pronunciation of the author's name, so if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I'm sorry. This is the first book in the Maxton Hall series, so if you... I was gonna say if you're living under a rock, but I guess I shouldn't say that because there are some people I know that haven't watched it yet. But if you don't know, there is a Amazon Prime series called Maxton Hall, and it is based off of this book, and then there are 2 others in the series. They were finished being translated to English in November, and actually the last book came out on my birthday, so as my little treat to myself for my birthday, I went and I bought the whole series. So I started reading the first one, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining. It was very similar to the show, which I liked. I think I rated it a 3.5 stars though, because it was just not... I enjoyed the show better. I don't know. That's really all I can say. And that's not usually something that happens. I usually enjoy books more than their TV adaptation or movie adaptation. But in this case, I personally like the show better. I liked kind of getting to see some of the inner thoughts of the characters more, but I don't know. It just didn't really feel like it added a whole lot to me. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I haven't even gotten through the second book yet. I'm very bored. And I hate to say that, like, I don't like to not like books, but it's just true. I don't know if I'm even gonna be able to finish it. I'll keep watching the show because I liked the show, but I don't know, there's just something about reading it that's just not, it's not picking up for me. So this one was a 3.5. It was still good. I enjoyed the time I had reading this book, but the second one is just not doing it for me, and I don't know if I'm gonna continue or not, so. And the last book that I read was an ARC, and that was One Christmas Night with You by N.L. Moore. So this was her Christmas novella. It was, I think, like 100 pages, maybe even less. It was very, very short, very quick. So when I rate novellas, like actual novellas, because sometimes people write novellas and they're like 200, 300 pages, but I mean truly short novellas, I'm not as harsh with my ratings because like there's just obviously not that much to give in that short amount of pages. So I rated it a 4 stars, and that's pretty much what I rate most novellas. If I have a good time with it, I still think people should read it. I rated it 4 stars. So it was like a one-night stand situation, and I remember reading it and being like, oh, okay, like this is interesting, like how they meet and everything and how they kind of get to this one-night stand situation. But then the way the book ended, I was like, what? I'm like, girl, what are you doing ending the book there? But, which now that it's out, I think I'm allowed to say this. If I'm not, I'm so sorry, but like the book is out, so I should be able to. At the end of the book, it basically explains that there's going to be another novella this coming Christmas. So it's like, you get left on a cliffhanger. You have to wait for the next novella, which I kind of love because I think that's so fun. For me, I personally don't want to spend days reading a Christmas themed book. That's just not usually my thing. But having like such a short little book that like each year you get to read a new installment of, I think that's fun. So I'm very excited for next Christmas to be able to read the next installment. I hate that I have to wait that long, but that's okay. To be honest, I'll probably get it in like either late November or early December because I'm on her street team, so I get all the arcs. But still, I don't want to wait that long. I want it now, but that's okay. But yeah, that was the last book that I read in November. I had, honestly, like I said, a great month reading-wise in November. A lot of good books, even some books that weren't as good. Still enjoyed the time I did. Like, I don't regret reading it. And I would say all the books I talked about, I would recommend if you are interested in giving it a try. I'm always kind of like that. Even if it's a book that I'm like, oh, I didn't really like, unless there was something like definitely wrong with the book. Like, oh, the author said this and like, this is wrong. I'm usually like, you should still take my recommendations with a grain of salt because we're all different people and we all like different things. But I do think besides maybe the Maxton Hall series, I would highly recommend everything. The Maxton Hall series, I think just for me, I preferred watching it than reading it. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I think if you like third person and YA, I think do it. If you're iffy about YA and iffy about third person, maybe don't. I'm kind of a toss-up with both of those, so it just kind of didn't work out for me as great in the second book, but it was fine in the first book. So yeah, all right. Anyways, that's a done. Oh, what? Y'all, I can't speak. Okay. Also, I'm realizing that the sun, like the way it's hitting my windows right now, is like shining through onto me. Like you can see all the little dots through my blinds. So I'm sorry if that like bothers you guys. I will try to like fix it here when I switch to our December books, but that is enough about November. We are going to move to our 4 books that we read in December. Okay, so now for our December books, the first book that I read in December was Enchantra. So that is the second book to Phantasma. I don't know if the series is just like called Phantasma or if there's another series name. Let me see if it says in the book, because now all of a sudden I'm like, does it have a series name? I feel like it doesn't, but I don't know, maybe it does. I don't know. It doesn't say in Phantasma. Maybe it does in Enchantra. I don't have it because, funny story, after Christmas, I went to Barnes & Noble because I had a gift card and I was like, they're having sales, could get some books, even though I literally got so many for Christmas I do not need anymore. I was still like, you know, girl, I got a gift card and I'm in a Barnes & Noble. Let's fuck some shit up. But they were actually very low stock on like everything, so I decided to hold off and buy books later when they have more in stock. And the 2 copies that they have of Enchantra left were both damaged, and I did not want a damaged copy, so I do not have the physical copy with me. I did read it on Kindle Unlimited when I read it, so I'll just have a picture up over here. But I rated it a 4.15, which I know you guys are probably like, Paige, oh my god, this specifics. But when I was like finished reading it and I was thinking about the rating, like it wasn't just a 4-star, but it wasn't a 4.25. Like it truly was in the middle. So 4.15. Like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be as specific as I need to be. Like, it's my video, they're my ratings, I can do what I want. But I will say, I did like Enchantra slightly better than Phantasma, which is probably partially because it was different. It didn't feel like I was reading the same book over again. I was nervous though, because when I read the Caraval series, I didn't like the second book and I actually DNF'd it because I didn't like the sister. Like, I didn't like her really as a character or reading from her point of view. So I was worried the same thing was going to happen in Enchantra because, again, it was the sister's book and it was her point of view. But I actually didn't mind it this time, so that was a nice little change to things. So I did, like I said, rated it 4.15 stars. I thought it was good. It still had like a paranormal game aspect to it, like Phantasma, but it was a different game. And I really enjoyed the male character in this one. I thought he was fun. I enjoyed all the little side characters as well. I'm curious to see if we're getting any more books in that series, and if we are, like, whose storyline it's gonna be, because we have the 2 sisters done. And so I'm like, are we going to the main guy character in the second book and his siblings? Because they're really the only ones I can think that would have books that we'd get next. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how it all ends up rolling out. If we don't get any more books, it's not the end of the world, but I think it would be kind of cool to get more books in that series, because I do think it's a cool idea to add the, like, fantasy element, but using paranormal stuff, because I feel like a lot of times you just use, like, which, don't get me wrong, you all know I love dragons, but like dragons and fae, and it's like, I think it was kind of a nice change up to have like paranormal aspects in it, because I don't know, I personally think that's kind of fun, but that's just me. I mean, I'm not doing like any sort of, you know, Ouija boards over here, but like, I do think it's fun to read about. So, all right. And then what probably will not be a shock to anyone if you follow me on TikTok is the next book I read was Game Changers by Rachel Reed, which is the first book in the Game Changers series, which is a series of all hockey romances. If you don't already know, sports romances, love. Hockey romances, love. romances, love. So for me, it was just a beautiful little, I was like, oh, I'm so excited. And the reason that I started reading it was because the show Heated Rivalry on HBO Max, for me in the US, but Crave if you're in Canada, came out, and I was like, oh, heck yes, so excited. And so I was watching the show and I was like, oh, I need these books now. Like, there is no waiting. I need to know what happens right now. Well, everything was sold out everywhere. I could not find a physical copy that was not, like, you know, ridiculously overpriced. So I bought them on Kindle. Oops. I don't really care though. I needed to read them. That was the sensation I was feeling. It was finals. I didn't want to study. I wanted to read. And unfortunately, that was pretty much what I did. It worked out for me though. I got all A's this semester, so it's fine. But I read Game Changers. I rated that a 3.5 stars. It was good, and the story is important for other characters that you meet in books after, but they just weren't my favorite. I'm just being honest. They weren't. It felt a little too insta-lovey for me. I'm very particular about my insta-loves. Some of them I like, some of them I hate, and then some of them, like Game Changers, were just kind of like, I had a good time, but it's like, I'm not gonna like reread it or anything. So I rated that one a 3.5. But then, guys, we went on to Heated Rivalry, the book that the first season of the show is based off of, and I went feral. Freaking feral. I lost my damn mind. If you go onto my TikTok, there are, I think, 3 videos of me reacting to the entirety of Heated Rivalry, like the book. And there are even reactions to me watching episodes of the show. I didn't do anything for the long game, which I'll get to in a minute, but for Heated Rivalry, I did. I loved every minute of it. I read it in one day. I stayed up till like 2 a.m. reading it. I rated it at 4.5 stars. It was fun. It was entertaining. Like, I was laughing, I was giggling, I was crying, I was like happy and like, what's the word? I was gonna say giggly, but that's not what I meant. Like happy, but like that's not the word I'm looking for. I don't know. I was just really happy, having a fun time reading it. And then of course I went immediately into Long Game, and I read that, and I rated that one a 4.75 stars. I think something about 2 characters finally being able to end up and be happy together, even if it still takes a while to be able to be public about it, was just so amazing to see after all of the hardships they went through. And I had a really, really good time with it. And yes, I want to preface, I did skip book 3, 4, and 5 and immediately went to the Long Game, because again, I had to pay to buy them on Kindle. They were not on Kindle Unlimited. And I just needed to know where Ilya and Shane's story was going. So eventually, if the books come back in stock somewhere, and or if they come on Kindle Unlimited, whichever one kind of comes first, I will read the other 3. I was like, I'm sorry, all of you are going to have to wait and take a back seat, because Ilya and Shane need to be the stars of my show. Okay guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. That is my November and December reading wrap up. Again, if you want to see some of those reactions to some of those books, specifically Heated Rivalry, please go check out my TikTok. It is always linked in the description below. We just passed 600 followers on there, which is insane to me. Literally never thought I would be over 100 anywhere, and so to be at 600 is crazy to me. So yeah, I post stuff on there probably more frequently than here, just because it's easier, it's so short. So I would definitely follow me over there, as well as Instagram. A lot of times Instagram I use for promoting authors, special editions, books just in general. So you definitely want to go over there as well and follow me. Again, all of that is linked in my description. But yeah, that is what I have for you guys today. I don't know, again, what video is gonna be posted next. I've kind of bulk filmed some of these videos a couple days in a row, and then I'm just gonna spend a day editing them all, so we'll see what order I decide to kind of post them in. But the TBR for January should already be posted, so I would definitely go check that out. And then depending on what order things get posted in, there may be also a 2026 goals video to watch, and maybe some other videos, but I feel like this one will probably get posted either before 2026 goals or right after. So those will kind of be the things to look out for. And yeah, that is what I have for you guys today. I hope that you enjoyed. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!